Guys, Josh and Jake here, JJ Fitness. Just thought we would pop on and do this little video just to show you guys a little bit of the in-depth of our lives and how we started, and just perhaps give you some information that you may not know. Hopefully it inspires you along the way. Probably most of you don't know that me and Jake have probably been on two completely different journeys, trying to get to the same sort of goal. So my journey, I started only around 3 or 4 years ago. Got up to about 22 and a half, 23 stone. Probably, well, I say probably in the worst shape of my life, mentally, physically, suffering with depression, anxiety. Yeah, it's pretty rough time, to be fair, and it's not something that I ever want to go back to. It is something that I can talk about now because I'm over that. I'm in a much more positive headspace now. And when I do talk about this, it just reminds me of how far I've come, and and the reason why I sort of got into coaching myself was to show people that it is possible to get out of these places. It's not a nice place to be. Takes a hell of a lot of hard work, but if I can do it, then I know anybody else can. And Jake has been on a different journey himself. Do you want to take over, Jake, and just let him know how it started for you and how you've got the way you got to? You've told me before, bro, that you was in school like a rake and pretty much getting picked on, like.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's where it started to change my mindset of sort of not what I want to do, but what I want to progress in and sort of where I want to go. I didn't really have a clear vision of what I wanted to finish at, but I knew the stepping stones which I needed to take to get to my goal. So just playing football at a good level when I left school. And I was just getting pushed a bit on the pitch, and I knew that I needed to do something. So the gym was the only output which I needed to do. So obviously got myself into a gym, got myself around a good group of mates, which obviously showed me the way to go and how to put on a bit of size. And the mate, it did help because I was playing football with people a lot older than me, 2, 3, 4 years older than me in the Welsh League. So that sort of put my mindset in the right place.
Because you're saying that you used to get pushed about on the pitch, but then from when I watched you play, you was probably one of the biggest, the strongest, the fastest players on that pitch. So how you've
Yeah,
changed your mindset and how you become that person. And
yeah,
you've had to work hard for that. These
yeah.
journeys that people take, none of them are easy. But
Mm-hmm.
when you do get to that place where you become better, you want more, and then you keep on progressing, and and eventually you do become the best version of yourself, and you know that you can't go back.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Obviously, no matter how good in shape we are or the way your mindset is, we're never satisfied with what we got in front of us,
No,
and
definitely not.
so we're constantly pushing to try and succeed, and that's where we was. Obviously, you was the same with your rugby, but that's where I was with the football. I just wanted to succeed, and I was sick of always finishing second all the time, and second weren't something which was in my head. I always had first place in my head, and
Yeah. And
that's
that's
all I
just
wanted.
that is just your mentality, though, isn't it? But that probably wasn't installed into you straight away as a kid. That's becoming, not an obsession, but something that you practice and you've preached as you've got older and you've worked hard for.
Yeah,
You've worked hard to get to that place. Then why would you want to become second best? You're working to
yeah,
become the best version of you, isn't there? So,
yeah. No, exactly,
and
exactly.
I think with we check in clients pretty much every day through the week, and a lot of these clients say the same thing, or you know, um, I've had a couple this morning saying, oh, I really hate the bottom bit of my belly, blah, 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 blah. But we are, like you just said, all of us have flaws in our bodies, in ourselves as people. We're never ever going to
Yeah,
be perfect, but all we can do is keep trying to better that. And it's just life. Nothing's ever going to be perfect, but
yeah,
you just adapt to become better. From
yeah,
what you're given, if that makes sense.
yeah. And I think the way to look at it as well, like like when you started on your journey, you didn't you set yourself one goal, obviously, was to get into shape, but along that journey, you could have had 10, 20, 30, even 100 goals, which you reached and you didn't even realize that.
No, that's it.
So, do you know what I mean? You're taking these steps going towards your goal, and people need to understand which these things just don't happen overnight. So when you might be having when you might be having a bad week, you might think to yourself like, why am I actually doing this? But you need to take your mindset back to when you started and realize how far you've actually come, how far you've
That's
actually
it.
come.
When we send our initial sort of forms out to clients, and we ask them, what's their main goals. Everybody, and there's nothing wrong with this. Everyone, is like, I want to drop 5 stone. Yeah, that is their goal. But
Yeah,
then, my sort of initial conversation with them after, reading that is, that's fine. And, it's fantastic to have these long-term goals, but we need to sort of scale it back and break that long-term goal down,
yeah,
and just tick off those, those steps along the way. That they are stepping
yeah,
stones. We're
yeah,
never going to get from A to Z within, a short time
yeah,
frame. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of effort, and
yeah,
and what I also say is, we're going to fall. Christ, I've been training what 4 or 5 years now, and
mm,
have I been perfect for those 4 or 5 years? Definitely not. I've
no,
crashed, fallen. But one thing I
mm,
never did, mate, was lie back and accept defeat. I always got back up,
yeah,
I always bounced back, and I always knew that I will become better. But I've
yeah,
learned from the struggles and everything
yeah,
else to
yeah,
become the person I am today, and that's how I believe I can help people, because the journey that a lot of these people are going on, I've been on myself. And the same for you.
yeah, yeah. And like you know exactly, well, you know where to channel your mindset when you're in a rut or when you're rock bottom. Like I said, even now at the shape you're at, you know exactly where to go when you're feeling at your lowest.
Yeah,
You know where to put your mindset, and you just think, I ain't going back to who I used to be. Do you know what I mean?
no, definitely not.
And no matter how long ago it was, or how far how far you've come, everyone goes back to those times and just think to yourself like, I'm glad I made that first step, and I'm glad to to say where I am now, and
Yeah,
I want to show I'm proud of it. Like, do you know what I mean?
definitely. And and I'm not just saying this because we're coaches, but I think probably the best thing that I ever did was invest in a coach, and I still get coached till this day. It is
Yeah,
something that I believe that you don't need to have it. There probably are people
no,
out there that don't need it, but for me, I feel like even now coaching, between us over 140 odd clients, that I still believe I need to have that coach just for that
yeah,
accountability, even though
yeah,
I know exactly what I'm doing and when to do it. It's just for me to have
yeah,
that place, that safe place to check into, to know
yeah.
that I've ticked the week off, and I can report back to somebody and say, yes, boss, I've done my job, you know? And then any feedback that he has, we talk about it, and we set a plan for what's ahead. What I would say is, get a coach, invest in yourself, for what these coaches charge, whether you come to me and Jake or you go to someone else, regardless of who it is, invest in yourself, invest in the knowledge that these people have, that these people have. Um, you know, these people have been on the journeys that you're looking to go on yourself. They're going to have the knowledge, the setbacks, the answers to the questions that you need. So invest in it. Um, I tried on my own many a times before I actually got a coach, and failed many times because a lot of people, me included, when I first started, probably the first time out of 100 times I tried on my own, people go balls deep first week, slash their calories, hours of cardio a week. By week 2, they're absolutely knackered. They've got no energy, and it is just not sustainable. Yeah. So, coaches know how to get these programs set, how to sort of tailor things around you, but around the client and their needs and their capabilities. Um, and they're there to support you and help you. And a lot of people are probably scared by some coaches, because they're big, intimidating, they're in shape, or they're bodybuilders. We as coaches are only there to help and guide you. We're not monsters. We are probably one of the friendliest guys you'll come across. Even when people are in the gym and they get first time in the gym, then people sort of get scared to go in, and they feel anxious and stuff like that because they think people are going to be looking at them. but that is not the case whatsoever. These people, just want to help people on these journeys, because one time ago, this was them. So I think investing in a coach is probably one of the best things that I did on my journey, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
And if I didn't believe that, I still wouldn't have a coach now. So
exactly. And you got it, I think no matter what your goal is, I think a coach can guide you in the right direction, like we said before, physically and mentally, to get you to where you need to be. Because there's always going to be something which you're stuck on, and if you haven't got if you haven't got a coach, it's so easy to just say, do you know what, I'm just going to knock this on the head because I don't know what I'm doing. But there's a lot of people which will just do that because it's the easiest option. And then again, we can go back to accountability, where you can, you're not holding yourself accountable for your actions, and you're making easy excuses and trying to blame someone else or something else which has happened. It's so easy. But like when my journey started on strongman, straight away I knew I needed a coach because I didn't have a clue about strongman.
that was quite a wild story, to be fair, mate, because you've always sort of been, you've never been, how can I say this? You've always trained to be in shape then, and then you sort of went down the route of just wanted to be the strongest person you could be, and that got you being the competitive person you are, sort of wanted to take that further, didn't you? So last year, wouldn't it?
So the start of the year, obviously decided to knock it on the head, just for obviously purposes with the.
So going back to you and your competitive edge, do you want to talk a little about obviously how you got into the strongman? Because you've always been, for as long as I've known you, which is probably 15 years.
Yeah, space.
No, 10 years, 10 to 15 years.
10 years, yeah.
10 years. You've sort of always been in and around the gym. Whatever you're doing, you've always sort of kept yourself in good nick. And so was it last? I mean, how long ago was it when you started doing the strongman?
So it was probably about 2.5 years ago now. Obviously, just trying to find my feet with it first. It was a friend in work which sort of put me forward to the strongman. He got me in touch with a coach, which was Mark Jeans, and obviously can't take my hat to him, the amount of stuff he showed me. But the thing we're getting at is the reason why I needed a coach, because I didn't have a clue where I was going with a strongman. I thought I could just go to the gym and just do what I was doing, just lift weights and just try and get stronger. Obviously, it appealed to me just how strong these men are, and that's something I wanted to do. And obviously, it's a long process. Don't happen overnight. You can't just go in and pick the heaviest weight up. You know that yourself. And it just became an addiction then. Just going down there once or twice a month down to Bridgend to train. Like I said, trying different stuff, trying to implement different things into it, and it just became an addiction. And obviously, then at the end of it, the end goal.
The thing is, there's so many different events, isn't there? So you can't just be strong at one thing. You've got the Atlas Stone, you've got talk to me. I don't really know much about it. Obviously, I went to see that event that you competed in for the UK Strongest Man. Was it the UK's or the Welsh Strongest Man?
So it was the Wales Strongest Man down at Celtic Strength down in Swansea. So obviously they come first. Wales Strongest Man 105, which was a massive thing for my career, which I probably will go back to one day. But for now, obviously, into the bodybuilding scene. But there's obviously you've got your Atlas Stones. Could be sandbags. Could be sandbag toss. Could be tire flipping, deadlifting. You've got your log press, Viking press. That the list could go on. And I think that's why strongman is such a crazy sport, because sometimes the events don't get released until like 3 or 4 months before the competition. So normally when you're prepping all year round for these things, you sort of have to change your training up, and obviously adapt to what's put in front of you.
I never knew that. I thought there was always, so many categories, so many exercises or whatever you call them then to one sort of show. And I thought you had to train for that certain movement then all year. So they would only release what you had to do sort of.
So literally it'd be a few months before. So sometimes it is like a year in advance, but they do tend to be quite short. I only found out about the events for the competition I competed in, I think it was 4 months before. And like I said, at the time I was going through quite a bad patch mentally. And again, turned to my coach, and I opened up to him massively just about what I was going through. And it was just a shoulder really that I could talk to him and just tell him exactly what was happening. And to be fair, he didn't just help me with my strongman training. He helped me mentally and physically as well. And I can't thank him enough for that. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah, and I think that's, a side to coaching that a lot of people don't see. I think they just think that, people, coaches then just write out sort of or copy and paste generic um,
yeah,
sort of diet plans.
yeah,
And that's it, sort of send them on their way. But it's a lot more in depth than that. You are sort of
yeah,
literally holding a client's hand the whole way of the journey,
yeah,
and you do hear the ins and outs of the highs and the lows of everyone's life, and for me I think
yeah,
that's a good thing because they know they got that support there, and you know how to push these people and pull back a little bit when they're struggling, and that's
yeah,
again I think that's being a good coach, knowing how to push people and when to pull back and nurture
yeah,
these people and look after them a little bit more. I think that
yeah,
is a massive key point to being a good coach.
yeah. Well,
Listening.
I think, like you said, being a good coach, when you say we're going to do you a tailored diet and training plan, I think you do need to know them personally as well. So, which is why, when we take on new clients, we give them a courtesy call just to get to know them a
Yeah,
little bit better.
yeah,
Even if we know them, even if we know them, we like to speak to them on the phone just so we know we're on the same level. We know what we need to produce for them.
yeah,
We know exactly their needs and what they want to do and their goals.
yeah.
And sometimes you go off subject a bit and you start talking about their life just to get them to know a bit better. And
Yeah.
this is why it's important to get a coach, because the amount of stuff that we can teach, it's not just in the gym. We can teach so much more from there. So
And like I said earlier, you find that, like I said, the journeys that these people are going on, and the struggles that they go through, some more than often than not, we've sort of been through these struggles and we've been on these journeys. So straight away, we can give them advice and that they need, and it's not
yeah,
just sort of making this stuff up. It's trialed. We know what's going to
yeah,
happen, when it's going to happen, and we can help them adapt and overcome these things. And
yeah,
there's conversations that I've had with people. Obviously, I won't say names, but there's a woman that stands out for me. A couple of months ago, obviously, had a message off her, just saying how thankful she was, how grateful of me she was, because not only have I bettered her life, I've bettered her children's lives too. Because up to the point of her, um, before, sorry, that I coached her, her children had never been in a swimming pool, they'd never swam, and
yeah,
she was with me probably, well, she's still with me, but she was with me sort of 3 or 4 months, and after that point, she took her children swimming, and she said, she can't believe now that she's not holding herself back from doing those just little things that
yeah,
people take for granted. That was a
yeah.
massive thing for her that she overcome.
Well, how
And
long will that last? Do you mean that's a lifetime? That
yeah,
is. She's always
exactly.
now. She'll never
Yeah,
look back. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So
and that's it, mate. And for me, that's why coaching gives me such satisfaction, and that's why I'm so passionate about it, mate. Because
yeah,
we're not just changing the people's lives we're working with; we're changing the lives of the people around them too.
yeah. Obviously, look back when you started. Obviously, I was working with you for 7 years, and
Yeah,
you know your anxiety was through the roof. You'd
yeah,
never go in public places, or
yeah,
you would avoid them as much as you could.
yeah.
Like what was your first thought when you thought to yourself, right, I'm going to get in the gym? Like, what was your first experience like going into a gym?
Um, same as probably most. When they first start, I was anxious, didn't really want to do it.
Hmm.
Probably talked myself out of it once or twice before I actually got into the gym.
Yeah,
Um, but the reason or the one, everyone has a reason why they start these journeys. Then, yeah. So there's probably a few reasons why I started, but my one of the two main reasons I started then was I remember leaving the house one day, me and my wife, now Ellie, just going down to Sainsbury's, just like a normal day. She wanted to do a food shop. So we pulled up into the car park. I've looked around, thought, Christ, this car park's busy. I said to her, I can't go in. She said, what? I said, I cannot go into that place. You need to take me home. She was like, what are you on about? I said, literally, I can't go in there. I got to a point where I felt that ashamed of myself. I was that anxious that I just could not be seen in public places. And she took me home, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And
Mm.
then literally the day after, I remember going on my first run. I think I ran 120 meters roughly, and I had to stop. I was blowing through my ass. And the day after that, I went running again, a little bit longer. The day after that, I went running again, a little bit longer. And after probably a couple of weeks, I was up to running a mile or 2 miles. And, I still, that's not a far distance, but I could see that I was making that progress, and then that became addictive.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
look,
where it went from.
like look at the habits which got you into the shape you was in. Not now, but obviously, back
Yeah,
when we was out of shape. But look now at the habits which you put in place. Like you said,
yeah,
you went for a run every day, and like say every day you was sort of gaining 20 meters or whatever,
yeah,
on your
yeah,
runs.
yeah,
You was making that a habit to go either after or before work.
yeah.
These things people need to recognize. Good and bad habits of the things which are changing your life as well.
And it is habits, mate. It's people say to me now, how do you stay so motivated? And the
Mm.
answer to that is I'm not motivated every single day. Some days I could
Yeah,
not think of anything worse than walking into the gym. But
yeah,
because me and you and other people who train and look after themselves now have done it so many times for so long, it
yeah,
is just a habit that, it's hard to break that habit now because you
yeah,
know how it makes you feel, you know how it makes you look, and it is
yeah,
just massively beneficial for you, mentally and physically, on the inside
yeah,
as well. We have this longevity.
yeah. And like you said, one of your main reasons, I know obviously it was for yourself, but you've done it for your family because it's like if you wanted to go out with your daughter,
Yeah,
and you want to run around with her around the field, like imagine you was out of breath very quickly,
yeah,
and
it was. Yeah,
it is a bit degrading, and you're like, I gotta sort myself out, and obviously you
yeah,
wanna you want to sort of shape your daughter into someone you want to grow up and be this great little girl, and
that's it.
you've got to put these things in place for your kids, not just for your kids but for yourself and for others
Definitely.
around you.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
No, it's obviously that was a huge journey which you went on, and I
Yeah,
can imagine when you looked forward and you tried to see the end. There is no end really, but when you tried to
no,
see the actual light,
yeah,
I bet you couldn't see it for a few months, even years, because
no.
what has it been, 2 3 years, is it?
Touching 4 years now. Yeah, but
Yeah.
like I said, going back again to when I hired a coach,
Yeah.
he was telling me, I'm capable of this, I'm capable of that. You will
Yeah,
do better. You are going to become better. And at the time, I couldn't see that. But all I can do is thank that guy for taking me to where he did, because he was the one who pushed me into coaching and everything else as well. Because he could see how passionate I was and how hungry I was to succeed. And
yeah,
for me, he's seen how far I've come. I was
yeah.
at the end of probably. Well, I was at the worst position in my life, mate. To be fair, it wasn't good. And
Mm.
he seen me grow, sorry, each week, and see me developing into the person I am today, mate. And I know I owe the guy, Asa Chowdhury, a hell of a lot, mate. So yeah,
Yeah.
fair play.
And he's a good friend of yours now, do you know what I mean? And
Definitely, mate. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Absolute top bloke, mate. Really, really, really nice guy.
yeah. Do you mean you've gained a friend and you've
Yeah,
gained a lot of stuff yourself
yeah.
and where you
And
are on this journey?
the knowledge as well that I've picked up off him, mate, along the way. That's something that helps now with the struggles I have with my own clients. So yeah,
Yeah,
mate. And if there's things now that I still struggle with, then I still go to him now. So
yeah, yeah.
it means
And
a lot.
a- again, going back to saying like I think it's a good idea for everyone to get a coach. Just like I said, we don't just teach how to go to the gym or how
No.
to have your meals or how to count your macros or anything like this. We're teaching good habits which you take into everyday things in life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's a good thing to think about having a coach when you're starting on your own journey, where regardless of what goal you're in, they can always point you in the right direction. And like I said, if whenever you're ever stuck, the first thing you do, well, the easiest thing to do is to give up. And like I
yeah,
said, a lot of people will do it because it
yeah.
is,
1,000,000%. Because like it's just said, it's the easiest thing to do,
yeah,
isn't it?
it's convenient. Do you know what I mean? And everyone likes convenience. Do you know what I mean? Or everyone likes it.